Welcome home, Bitcoin Truth Seekers. It is Saturday, June 12th, 12:10 p.m. Arizona time, here in the beautiful desert. Welcome to the garage. Um, I'm back. I was like dead sick for a couple days, so no videos. Um, but I did lay in bed reading lots of depressing news, so that helped me get better very quickly. Hey, anyway, as I said, welcome home, Bitcoin Truth Seekers. I'm back. It is really good to be alive. You realize that after you've been sick as crap for a while, that, just being alive is really nice. So anyway, BitcoinDailyView.com, got more for you there. Now, on the uh, Ask Clown news, basically, Warren, U.S. government needs to confront crypto threats head on. Well, this evil reptilian monster that we all know, a champion of gun control and all other horrible causes, any other crime against humanity, she's probably into. And of course, she doesn't like crypto, so she makes crazy claims like one Bitcoin transaction uses the same amount of power as a U.S. household does in a day or something like that. Just such outlandish claims. Well, anyway, I'm sorry I cannot find a link to it, but there was a conference call that she was on with some other, ancient evil ass clowns, and this one guy who's prominent, I forget his position, but he was saying how what we need to do is form an international coalition that stops um, crypto from being converted into local currency, and that's how we could defeat the terrorism of Bitcoin. So what I don't like right now, and I know that many people are very hopeful, and I do believe in the peaceful revolution, but it's not about being, as Crypto Love said, being a realist is just being a cynic. Well, I would say kind of being, as he put it, being fact based. So you're not so much being a realist, but you're trying to see what is. You trade on TA, you trade on facts. We need to know the truth. I think that a successful trader or investor is truly the most successful truth seeker. And to know truth, you must base your assumptions on fact. And so I know that many people think that these eternal ass clowns of ancient evil have no power over Bitcoin, but they do. The rhetoric coming out right now is so extreme that, I'll be honest with you, I hedged out way more than 50% of my Bitcoin holdings into cash because I'm worried. I know that people think, oh, they can't stop Bitcoin. Sure, it will exist, but they can call it terrorism, you know, and they've confiscated gold in this country, and all they have to do is say it's terrorism, and you gotta sell it to the government, or you're done. That's what happened with gold. And then what did they do after that? They bought the gold for 20, then they pumped it to 35, and then, anyway, it's sort of like to think that this is not possible is as naive as when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard thinking it was ever going to go back. So these monsters are serious, so be careful. I don't want to be negative, I just want to be fact-based. I don't want to be pessimistic, but watch out. These people are serious. And to just think that, Americans have a bad habit of thinking that, they have this power that they don't. Like, if you get pulled over by a cop, thinking that you can say, I don't want a ticket, and just drive away. That's not going to work out so well for you. And to think that these characters are not serious and they don't have power, I've never, in all the years I've been in Bitcoin, kind of since the beginning, I wasn't always invested, but I was aware and watching. I've never been worried. But right now, for the first time ever, I truly do worry for the future of cryptocurrency because if we look at this, do I still have the picture up? Well, anyway, as we know, you've got El Salvador and other nations, and Mexico's looking at it very seriously, and there's going to be more and more and more and more nations that are going to want to go towards Bitcoin as a monetary standard, as one of their monetary standards. And they're doing it because a lot of them are Latin American countries that have been screwed over by the dollar, really, by the fiat system based on violence. So they don't have so much to lose. So anyway, the IMF is pissed. You've got, one of the, big-time international gangsters, international gangsters like Warren here and others who are saying, they're making the accusation, they always have it as terrorism. What happens if it becomes that under law and then it's illegal you basically can't convert it to cash, USD in America, nor can you own it. Even though I know people say, well, they can't trace it, they don't know the AI is already in the blockchain, and knows who's got it, or can make a very good assumption as to who does or whatever. I'm just saying, don't think, I hate to belabor this, that it couldn't go away. These ass clowns have never been more serious. And when ancient evil is going to lose a battle, the fangs come out and the claws come out, and they're out. And one of their main, pure demonic forces on this planet is speaking some serious smack against Bitcoin, outright calling it terrorism, in my opinion, from what they say. My interpretations of her words, that is what she means. Anyway, and you've even got Trump. Like him, hate him, it doesn't really matter. He was talking to Fox News something, like he was saying, the main quote is, Bitcoin just seems like a scam, Trump said. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to be the currency of the world. That's what I've always said. Well, I don't really hold it against Trump. He's a very old world character, and he is what he is. Nothing wrong with that statement. He's a businessman, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with his desire. But in the same interview, he did boast about how the price he alluded to was kept around 6,000. It was kept down. So he kind of alluded, if you listen to the interview, I'm sorry, I can't find some of these links. I'll post them later when I do. But there's an interview on Fox, and he was like, we kept it down around 6,000. When he was president, he was saying that they kept it repressed. That's what it sounded like. He was saying it was down around 6K when he was president. And if you listen to the interview, you'll see where, in the nuance of what he was saying, he was very aware. It sounded like to me that they were repressing the price of Bitcoin. So anyway, there's a lot of people like Trump. I don't consider him evil, but people who, they want the old system to continue. And many of us do. We don't want our dollar to collapse. But this is kind of happening in the world. You've got Russia hedging out of the dollar. You have, I could have a whole browser full of endless tabs on, countries divesting from the dollar in one way or the other because they don't want to be part of its dump. They don't see it as a good deal. So the world's changing quite a lot. Anyway, and that's why I hedged out a bit, because I just wasn't sleeping well, because I just don't trust the with countries going to it as a standard, as a form of legit currency. I think Iran is using it, has been. It's right now, especially when they're calling out these guns here, and you even have Trump, who's not very helpful. There's just too much FUD right now. These people are serious, and I've talked long enough about it. But yeah, here we go. These countries here: Mexico, El Salvador, Paraguay, Panama, Brazil, Argentina. On her conference call, they outright pretty much said it's how terrorists move money, and we need and there needs to be an international coalition to stop it. Well, are these now terrorist nations? I'd be careful. I'd be careful, because I know that like the U.S. dollar ain't as sexy as she once was. The old system is not. Many of us are like, hey, nothing wrong with Latino women at all. It's just that, like, be careful, because this guy is caught between two worlds. The new hottie and like the old lady who will, maybe she's not as hot, but if you're sick, she's gonna make a chicken soup. You know what I mean? It's this girl, you don't know yet. So anyway, be careful about embracing this brave new world too fully, because I know it's hotter, it's better, but like the dollar here, her grandmother, might just put a stop to this foolishness. So anyway, I linked to it in the show notes. Emergency warning for Bitcoin. This weekend will rock the market. He just makes Crypto Love. He's a good character, and this is only a 10-minute video, and he just makes a good case for the possibility of this being an extremely dumpy weekend. And I would just say, with ancient evil afoot, don't think with the wrong head. Be real. Listen to Crypto Love, because I myself am sleeping a little better that I'm hedged out some in USD. And if we do come out of this sideways motion, which we'll look at in just a second, and we have a confirmed uptrend, I will get back in. But until then, I'm sleeping better. There's just too much global craziness. And maybe I'll do like another video at some point over the weekend and just do a whole bunch of tabs on the craziness specifically. Anyway, I'll link to this too by Mr. BBB333. Special report, the Terminator event. This could be really big. I'm a space weather fan. The sun is really, really crazy right now. If you're into space weather and how the sun affects the Earth, watch this. It'll give you the jitters. All right, now let's look at the market. Bitcoin down a bit, hanging out around just below 36,000. ETH just staying in the green right now. Let's refresh this. While that refreshes, I'll go over here to the crypto bubbles. As we can see, crypto bubbles, it's a pretty red day in the market so far. Bitcoin trading volume, let's refresh this. Bitcoin trading volume is 5.4 billion, 3.5 billion that on Binance. Nobody else showed up for anything. So the volume is really darn low. It just concerns me. Okay, yeah, Bitcoin down a bit, Ethereum holding the green, ADA holding the green. Of course, USDT holding the green. Link and Matic holding the green too. So not a totally red day in the market, but it's not too spiffy either. So let's look at blockchain whispers here for longs versus short sentiment. 54% long, 45% short on Binance for Bitcoin. On Binance for Ethereum, 59% long, 40% short. So in general, we have a pretty neutral stance, longs versus shorts here on Binance, if you ask me. Definitely a positive long stance for Ethereum. And I've noticed recently that Ethereum is staying with a long sentiment where Bitcoin is oftentimes indecisive recently. All right, let's look at, this is a 4-hour chart. This is Bitcoin longs up top. This is Bitcoin shorts on the bottom. This is on Bitfinex. This is Binance for the actual Bitcoin price action. And you can see, like right here, this is something I've talked about before. But when you see Bitcoin start to make these moves like this, what happens? The shorts just come rocking in. So I've talked about it before, and others have, so I will not belabor it. But I really do believe, as if we go over here and we look at, oh, something died. Here we go. Come on now. Try harder. All right. I think I lost my cool, badass chart there. Ah, I did. Did I? No, I didn't. Here we go. I'll show you this. This is very, very cool. If it'll work for me. All right. I always hate to keep you waiting while I scroll around. Just wanted to show you this. But first, look at this. So if we look here, let's do a rectangle. And you can see this area right here, and do a fill like that. So, and then if you look at this again, let's look right about down here. If you ask me, this is probably where a lot of your institutional buying is happening, is right down here. And so this, I've been watching the longs versus shorts during this time frame while we were sideways here on the daily chart. So it was really obvious kind of what happened. Somebody was like, let's stock up on Bitcoin, so we'll basically dump it 50%, run it sideways, and we'll just keep buying. So I'm sure some institutions are buying this whole range, and some are buying just the bottom. But with that said, oh, and and by the way, this right here, globalist banker bastards, this was a great fake out that got a lot of people. Anyway, so with that said, where was I go? Yeah, so as you can see, you get a little bit of the price starting to move where it's going to break out of that range. Boom, shorts will wipe it out. Just like back here, we start to pull out of that range, and boom, they are on Bitcoin's ass, and they are keeping it right there. Right there. So like I say, some institutions are buying, and we can see that that the institutions are buying. That is happening, and that's one of the things that gets me is why is the volume, if we look at like blockchain whispers, why is that volume so darn low? I think that the volume that we're not seeing is the institutions basically buying OTC. And with that said, I will not belabor it anymore. They're keeping it right there, and they're buying. At the same time, how does that come? So they're buying this big dough. I mean, they're buying Bitcoin. Well, how does that work with ancient evil pawn here talking smack about its terrorism? So it gets interesting, doesn't it? Is the empire sort of at war with itself? Is there only one layer of the deep state? No, there isn't. Only thing is, the battle that's going on, I have to admit, for the moment, I had to hedge out because, unfortunately, I hate to not have the faith, but brats know two things, and so do traders and investors: where the food is and when to jump ship. So here is this is a 4-hour chart, and it's showing you longs versus shorts in increments here. And one thing I noticed is that during the week you have such greater volume in longs, and this weekend longs and shorts have really slowed down. So I'm still learning this, and I need to get some better reports out of it, but longs versus shorts do slow down over the weekend. That's probably not very entertaining. But anyway, so they're buying right here. At the same time, the government's saying it's terrorism. So what's going to happen? Is this FUD just to keep it down, along with these, badass shorts they put in whenever Bitcoin starts to rally? What's going on? It's very, very curious. And then one thing I see here on this chart that keeps kind of bugging me is if you look at it like this. Oops, sorry. If you look at it like this is something I just noticed recently. I'm going to stretch it here so you guys really see it. One thing I do want to note, positive MACD still on the daily. I think that's a powerful symbol. If you kind of go, and I'm not going to take too much time to do this perfectly. Let's just do it like this, right? So you see this here. You see this wedge pattern, okay? And that's kind of sloppily drawn. But what does this look like if you kind of zoom out a little bit? What is that? I mean, am I the only one who sees this? Maybe because I'm seeing it wrong. It could be. Isn't this a friggin' epic bear flag? And what happens most of the time? I'm just saying. I'm seeing a mega bear flag right there. Anyway, with that said, on the 45-minute chart, here's something that has kind of bugged me recently. You can see on the 45-minute chart very, very clearly, you can see that 33 to 39K range they've been keeping it in. We did stay a bit above the 200 moving average on the 45-minute chart here, but of course weekends here, and boom, now we're under it and over it. We're hugging it kind of short. Directional index is in the red, ADX is falling. KRI is good, stochastic RSI is kind of high but indecisive. Lazy bear indicator shows it could go either way. Squeeze indicator does show some positive momentum upwards, but in general, I know it's a short time frame, but this is a very indecisive chart, and it's been sideways for a while. Something I really want to do before I hedge in, I want to see kind of here's my, what I'm doing. Non-financial advice, I'm just a crazy dude in this garage. But what I would like to see is, I would like to see us get above the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. And I want to avoid getting in while it's still ranging between the 200 and the 314. I would like to see a green break above both, and then have it test and keep going a little bit and start pulling away. Of course, you're at 40 now, 49, 50,000 at that point, but still, I really want to see this 200 moving average start to break towards the upside a little bit, and I'd like to see Bitcoin get over it, bounce, find support, continue up. At that point, I might get back in with a tight stop, figuring that it may find resistance on the 200, on the 314 moving average above. If you're curious about why I like the 200 moving average and the 314 moving average, check out Blockchain Education, linked to you on BitcoinDailyView.com. An amazing group, something wonderful to be a part of, along with TradeGenius.io. Both excellent. TradeGenius.io is a little bit less expensive, but has many of the same features. So if you got a lot of money, Blockchain Education is good. If you got a little less, Trade Genius, I'll see you there. They're both epic and wonderful. I need to do an in-depth video on both at some point. I really can't recommend one over the other. I think if you can, belong to both. They're both going to make you a lot of money. Well, allegedly. Entertainment purposes only. Not financial advice. Anyways, that's what I'm waiting for. So I don't really see myself getting back in before we break 40,000 or 41,000 or so. As one of the guys who heads up Blockchain Education said, Jonathan Regan, he said that the seasoned, skillful pro investor and trader is more concerned about not losing money than making money. And so right now, why I hedged out and why I'm a little bit worried is just, I'm sorry, I know people think this is just FUD and it's just rhetoric, but I say this and I wish I was just joking around. I wish I wasn't, I wish I didn't mean this seriously, but how long before are we going to call these terrorist nations? Pretty soon, because they're using a currency that terrorists use. I mean, we're at an impasse right now. Something has to happen. Either the empire bankers, fiat supremacy, dollar supremacy, is going to have to bow to an emerging new world currency, or because she's pretty hot, let's face it, or what, are we going to start bombing these countries? Something's got to give. We're at a moment of, you know, boom. So I'm hedged out, waiting to see either it's like, the hot new Latino girlfriend, sorry, little Miss Fiat currency gets dumped, or, well, we just start bombing the shit out of these countries. With that said, one thing I do have faith in is America. Regardless of what happens, with hyperinflation, everything else, I believe in America, and I believe in rednecks, and I consider myself a very, very proud redneck. Even though I don't have a beard, I just don't like them. Y'all check out my new fancy lawnmower. He made he welded some angle iron, and he hooked it up to his lawnmower, and he hooked that to his motocross bike, and I don't want to play this because YouTube will get mad, but it works, And in a country where a proud redneck can own some land and make this kind of shit and make a YouTube out of it that gets almost 4 million views, that country is unstoppable because of its foundations like this man. So with that said, even though it's a scary time and these awful human beings like this one are saying horrible things, and I think they mean business, and a lot of us have really hard decisions to make right now. Remember, every Bitcoin Satoshi you own makes a piece of shit cry. Take care.